And what is your bread and butter pitch, Mike?
Well, I don't think that I became a complete pitcher until I came up with the screwball. It has the off-speed effect of a changeup as well as having a break to it, and that enabled my fastball and slider to become much more effective.
I remember hitting against that pitch. I don't think I ever hit it for a base hit. Now, if you're in a tight situation, which you usually are, because you come into the ball game with the bases loaded or men on base, you don't have the privilege or the luxury of making mistakes like a starter. So which pitch do you go to immediately?
Well, it depends on the hitter and the situation. If it is a situation such as you described, where I have absolutely no room, then it's very tough because the hitters know me well enough to know to sit on or to look for the screwball. And I hate to throw them a pitch they're looking for, even though it's a top quality pitch. They're going to be able to get some wood on it. So it depends then on the hitter and the defensive situation, what I'll try to go with. But I like to think that I use all three pitches equally, depending upon the situation. I'd like to think that I use the slider if that is the correct pitch to use, or the screwball if that's the right pitch to use, depending upon the hitter.
Now, Mike, now a starter has 4 days, well, let's say 3 days to get himself prepared right after his last start. You come to the ballpark every day knowing that you just might pitch. Now, do you have any routine that's different from a starting pitcher?
I think that I have a definite routine different from a starting pitcher. Every day when I come to the park, I have to prepare myself for the hitters that I might face and the situations that I might come in. So I attempt to reaffirm my concepts of what the hitter can do. In other words, I go over whatever books we keep and keep in mind what kind of a hitter I'm facing if it's a new series. So I have to be more prepared every day than the starter does, who just comes for the one day. I think that's the big difference, is just making certain that I'm mentally alert and ready to pitch in the ball game.
Now, you know, it's cold in Montreal at the beginning of the season. It's cold towards the end. And you never wear a long-sleeve shirt. Any theories on this? You got a short-sleeve shirt on today, but I can understand that. It's humid here. I came with the turtleneck, the wrong attire. But why? How come you never use a long-sleeve shirt?
Well, I think there are several reasons. But basically, when you're playing, the weather is not important whatsoever. And I feel uncomfortable with a long-sleeve shirt. I happen not to prefer to wear a long-sleeve shirt. I don't think it's essential for me. So I stay away from it. I don't know if that's a complete enough answer, but I think that gives the general idea.
Well, that's good enough for me. Okay, have you ever had any arm problems now? Or do you do anything after the ball games? The Dodger pitchers, I know for sure. Let's first of all say the Dodgers never had a history of sore arms there, except for Sandy Koufax had some problems. But they ice their arms down after a ball game now, and a lot of pitchers around the major league scene do the same thing. Do you ice your arm down as a relief pitcher?
No, Maury, I don't. I don't do anything different during the season to my arm than if I were playing any position. I don't put any ice on it. I don't get any rubs. I don't do anything for the arm. To me, to be ready to pitch during the season is dependent upon how you prepare yourself in the off-season. I get a condition for, during the off-season to be able to stand the long season during the season, such that I feel that this off-season conditioning is carrying me through.
What do you do in the off-season, Mike?
Well, I throw year-round, number one, and then I have other training programs that I go into that I feel are very beneficial to me.
Would you recommend them to other pitchers?
Certainly. I think that if you're going to get yourself in the type of peak condition to enable yourself to perform at a high competitive level, that you shouldn't let this just absolutely disintegrate during the off-season and then try to get it back in the spring. If you're in that top flight condition, keep it close to that top flight all during the winter. Then when the season starts, you're there almost before you begin. So it takes very little to get yourself back all the way up. I don't understand ball players, pitchers, and hitters who allow themselves just to sit around all winter and lose all that fine competitive skill that they've brought along all during the season. So what I do is keep it going all year round.
Gee, that's great. I hope some of those players might be watching or listening right now. What about the Montreal Expo pitching staff? Do you think it compares with anybody as good as any of the other pitching staffs in the National League or the National League East?
I think we're so very close that it just takes a couple of fellas to understand pitching a little bit more, to remain a little calmer in tough situations during the game, and maybe come up with another pitch or a better sequence of pitching such that they could become very good. Baylor Moore, young pitcher, has all the equipment. He just has to get that one extra thing to get himself together, a calmness or a third pitch or whatever it is, so that he's so close. Ernie McAnally is in the same stage, I feel, that he's just so close you don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow. Steve Renko is a complete pitcher. He's demonstrated it all year long, and he demonstrated it to me in past seasons. And, of course, Bill Stoneman with the arm trouble. If that arm trouble clears up, he's a top-flight pitcher. We're talking a lot about a rather strong pitching staff if it all comes together.
Yeah, let's not forget with Mike Marshall in there, too. You know, you sound like a pitching coach, and that you're really an authority on pitching. I think you would make a good coach. Do you think when these young players and pitchers learn to do this, that the Expos can remain contenders throughout maybe the next 10, 15 years?
Well, they certainly can. I didn't mean to leave out two pitchers. Steve Rogers has come up lately, who has done just a fantastic job for us, and if he can continue to mature and maintain the same pitching patterns that he has now, he's going to be very tough. And Mike Torres won 16 games for us last year, and on any day he can shut out anybody. So I've talked about an awful lot of pitchers right there. I've forgotten your question basically, but I think that yes, the Montreal pitching staff can at any moment just become one of the very top pitching staffs in baseball.
Tell me, as a pitcher, let's say you're coming into a ball game in the ninth inning, the score is tied. It's a real crucial time. What is the importance of knowing that you got great defense behind you, a good shortstop and a good second baseman that can turn a double play? Or say you come in and you don't feel your double play combination is that good. How does this affect you?
Tremendously, just tremendously. I think that you and the Dodgers have demonstrated for years when you were playing that defense is the name of the game of baseball. Without defense, your pitching isn't as good as it really is. And without defense, you allow runs to score that makes your offense score more runs than they have to. It just is a tremendous difference. The defense we get from Tim Foley at shortstop is just unbelievable. He is, to me, epitomized the type of defense the Montreal Expos need to have in order to become a true contender and remain in competition with the other ball clubs year in and year out. We get some more players that can play the type of defense, and I don't mean just the defensive ability, but the thrill and love of defense that Foley exhibits. It's the kind of thing that excites me as a pitcher to come in and see this attitude.
Okay, we've talked about what goes on behind you. What about in front of you, the catcher? Any particular type of catcher that a relief pitcher likes to pitch to?
There's no doubt, and it's been no secret in Montreal that John Boccabella is my catcher. My personal opinion is that John Boccabella is the best catcher in baseball. I'm not talking about hitting and the other aspects, although John's a fine offensive ball player. But as a catcher, not only can he receive the ball and throw the ball, but he understands pitchers. He knows how to make pitchers work comfortably. He knows how to make the situation more relaxed. He just does things in a baseball game that I don't think other catchers are really appreciative of. He allows the pitcher to be in command, but with him sort of guiding and making certain it doesn't get out of control. He doesn't force anything down a pitcher's throat and make him do things that are uncomfortable to a pitcher, such that a pitcher is not going to be able to do them. He just really has a tremendous knack for catching. I think he's the absolute tops in baseball today, and the Montreal Expos would not be anywhere near where they are right now if it hadn't been for John Boccabella.
Oh, that's quite interesting. Okay, we've talked about behind you, the infielders, in front of you, the catcher. How about over there in the dugout? Now, how does a manager affect you as a relief pitcher? Not just Gene Mark, but a manager in general. How does he affect you as a relief pitcher coming in a crucial situation?
Well, just a tremendous difference. I think the first thing that I learned coming to Montreal was about Gene Mark. On other organizations, if I were out there pitching and I saw a hitter up there that I knew I had trouble with, and there's a situation where I had room and I looked the man on deck and I felt I could get him out easier, and I pitched tough or very close to the hitter and walked him, other managers had no understanding of what I was trying to do. It'd come out and take me out of the game. Gene Mark understood immediately, and I think that was the thing that turned Gene Mark and I on to each other. We really began to appreciate each other and our baseball abilities, and from then on it's been all uphill with Gene, or downhill I should say. It's just been tremendous, and he's made me really what I have been able to do. He has allowed me to do the types of things that I have felt were necessary for me to be successful. He's understood, and when times were bad and he could have been critical, he knew what I was trying to do and stayed with me. There's just not enough compliment that I can give to Gene Mark. Even last night, he made a defensive move, understanding totally what the situation was with me, and made it an easier game for me to pitch in. He has a grasp of the game of baseball that I think is beyond what anybody else has even thought of understanding.
I agree with you there. Mike, I tell you this, I've enjoyed interviewing you, and I think that you would make a fine pitching coach, and I'm sure someone else and most other people will know that in the near future. Thanks for being my guest. Right now, we're going to go back upstairs to Jim Simpson.
All right.